Hey everybody. I just thought I would come on today and kind of do a little mini tutorial product information video. I had a lot of questions when I posted about doing a wax coating on my journal covers, so I just thought I would kind of just show you guys what I use and some of the options out there. So grab your favorite beverage and come and join me. It's morning here, so I have coffee, so working on my second cup. And it's snowing outside, so I can see the snow coming down the window in front of me, and the cat is up there in his perch watching it come down, but I don't think it's going to stick around for us for very long because it's supposed to start warming up and raining later. So let's go ahead, and I just kind of want to show you the way I use these, the wax coating. I've been doing, I got a cinch binder for Christmas, so I've been doing some of these type of notebooks, and I've coated this one in a wax. I wish you could feel the difference, because that's the best way to explain it, or to see the difference between one that's been coated and one that's not. It's so smooth, and it just has a nice feel to it, rather than just regular paper. It does give it a little bit of water resistance, so I think that it helps with the durability on these type of covers a little bit. So this one has been coated in one of the waxes that I'm going to show you today on the front and the back, and I'll show you how that looks compared to just paper alone. This is a new journal that I'm working on, and I did a paper collage on the front, and this one has also been coated with a different kind of wax type product, and I'll show you that as well. It has a little bit different feel to it. It's definitely more smooth, but there's some drawbacks and benefits to both, so I just kind of wanted to show you the differences between them. So let's go ahead. I'm going to move these out of the way and we'll get started, and I'll kind of go through the different products here. So my favorite one that I use is the Distress Glaze from Tim Holtz Ranger product, and it comes in a little container. It's almost the consistency of like a really thick lip balm, maybe, I don't know, or Vaseline type, petroleum jelly type stuff. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Love this stuff. The drawback to this is that I can only find it in these little tiny containers. Now maybe they have a bigger one and I just haven't, it's not in the stores. Maybe I have to order it. But if I used this for all my projects that I use wax for, I would run out really fast. So I tend to hoard this stuff. That is what I used on here. The benefit of this one too is that you can put this on, and I'll show you how to do that here, but you can use this, it's ready to go right away. There's no waiting time, versus the other one there is. So I will show you those differences as we work with them this morning. But this one just has a very different feel than the other. They're both nice, but I do like the benefits of this one better. the big issue is the amount of product you get for the price. So unfortunately it's not as economical. The other two products that I found I use most often when I have more time. Here comes Devin. I use them more when I have more time available. Hi, baby. Hi. Can you go? Are you gonna move? When I have more time available and I'm doing a bigger project or a lot of projects, because these are $1.99, and you find them over in the paint, in the little craft paint area at your craft store. It's Folk Art is the brand, and they make a lot of the paints by Plaid, and it's home decor wax. Now I think that you use these more for wood projects, that sort of thing, but I thought, you know, paper made from wood, maybe it would work, let's give it a try. So I did a lot of different test runs with this stuff, and I like how it works. And you know, it's really economical because $2 and I can get a lot of projects out of this because it doesn't take very much. Now I bought two different kinds. One of them is a white wax, and then this one is an antique wax, and it's sort of really dark brown color, and I'll show you the difference between those two as well. Okay, so those are the two products that I use, and let's just get started and show you how I use them. So because the process for the paint on wax takes longer, I'm going to show that to you first, and then we will show you the other one. So I started with this paper pack. I wish I would have bought more. I got it from Hobby Lobby. It's Paper Studio. It was regular $20, and they had clearance these down to $4.99. So, but it's cardstock. I use this a lot, but when I'm doing the wax covers, I like to use a thicker cardstock if I'm doing like a standalone with the binding. If I'm doing like this one, it was a thicker cardstock, and I just left it one layer. It does fairly well, holding up to the wax paint, and I think it's fine. But I've also taken this cardstock paper, which is a little bit thinner, and I usually adhere it to some chipboard, and I do that first. I cover that with glue. I use Fabri-Tac. Then I adhere that onto that, and I let that dry completely before I do my next step. So typically I would be putting this onto a piece of cardstock to make my cover, unless I'm sewing one on like my fabric one. So this is what the paper looks like, and these are just really subtle differences, so I'm not sure how much you're going to be able to tell on the camera, but this is what the paper looks like normally. And so this one was a lighter background, so I chose the white wax, and what I do is I just work directly on the paper. I just squirt a very small amount out. And I hope I'm in frame. Yeah. Very small amount out, and then I use the foam brushes, and I just I think he's, yeah, okay, he's moving along. It's never a good sign when your cat comes up when you're putting on some kind of paint type substance. You never know if they're gonna try to get right in the middle of the project. But you can see I'm just kind of almost dry brushing that on there. It's a very thin layer. And I don't know if you can tell the difference here with the wax and without. The white wax just gives it a very soft coloring. Not a whole lot of difference there as far as the product going on, but I'm just doing a very thin layer, and then what you have to do is you let that sit overnight to dry. And by overnight, 8 hours, not 1, not 2. It's gonna be dry to the touch, but leave it. And that's the drawback to this type of product, because you do have to wait so long to be able to go to the next step. Okay, I realized as I was editing that I forgot to show you what the dark wax, the antique wax looked like going on. So basically, same process as the white that we just did. You can see how dark this turns out versus the white. So it gives you a completely different look. It's obviously going to be a lot darker, where the other one gives it kind of more of a whitewashed effect. So that's the difference between the two products, the white wax and the antique wax. But I have some that has dried overnight, and this is the one that I put the coating all over it. I've let that dry. It's kind of a chalky feel at this point. And so what you do is you just take a soft cloth or a paper towel and you just buff this. So you are just gonna go through and just, and I'm pretty aggressive with it. It's coated well. But I do the wax on, wax off. If any of you are from the 80s era, Karate Kid, I know they've had remakes, but they're not as good. Sorry. So I just go over this, and that's what takes it down to the smooth wax finish. And so that's what I've done on this one. And so what I will do is I will use this then for my front and back cover of my next journal, and these will end up being the cinch binding, spiral bound type cover. So just to show you a couple differences, in here I also tried, so I did this darker background paper, and you can see it's got the black, and the flowers are fairly light, and I did a coating of the white wax on that, and you can see it's just kind of giving it an ivory shade on the flowers, and then the background, the black background, is more of a whitewashed, kind of just knocked it down a little bit. So that's one look you can do. This one I did using the antique wax. And like I said, it's kind of a darker brown, and so you can see the difference there. It really darkened up those flowers. So this is a little darker than I would like for most projects, but if that's the look you're going for, and really at $2 a bottle, I picked up both of them because, you know, I wanted to be able to have that option. But you can see the difference that these two waxes, and these have both been buffed, so they're nice and smooth. This paper has a little bit of a texture to it, but they're nice and smooth. You can tell that they have a coating to them. There's a little bit of a very subtle sheen to this, but like I said, it's gives you a little bit of added durability, I think, and a little bit of water resistance. So if you're you know, concerned about that at all in your journal or other projects, this might be the way to go. So that's the difference between those two. Now for the Tim Holtz product. That is what I used on this. And I had a piece of cardstock that I added other pages to. This was a book page. This was just coffee dyed paper. This was some cardstock back behind here, music paper. And so I did all my collage work, put it all together. I even sewed this beforehand. The only thing I didn't do was glue on the trim and everything. I did that after. But for the most part, I had this piece done, and then I applied the wax, and then I glued down my fabric trims on top of that. But all these different papers, and it gives it almost all the same feel. And there's definitely a difference between the feel of this and the first cover that we did. It's you can see it doesn't really change the cloudiness of the picture. If I put the wax paint on wax product on this one, it would be more muted. So that's the other thing that's good about this Ranger one. What you see is what you get. There's no guesswork in how, you know, it's going to change the paper at all. So I do like that. So let's just take our piece of scrap here. Hopefully you're going to be able to tell the difference. I mean, you're probably not going to be able to tell the difference because, like I said, you can't really see it. But at least I can show you how to put this on. So you're just going to take an amount out for your project. I'm going to cut this off since we're... Okay. So you just take a small amount and you are just applying it to the paper, and you're just going to go around and rub that in. All over your project. And you know, I can barely see a difference between the two. There's just like a waxy, obviously, coating on this side versus this side, and I don't know if the camera is going to pick up that very little difference, but that's where my line is. So you put that on. You don't have to wait. You just cover the whole thing, and then you take your paper towel or cotton cloth and you wipe off the excess. And you just kind of rub that in. It won't wipe it off completely. It'll still leave the finish on there. So that's it, and this one's ready. Sorry about that. My alarm on my phone started going off. So I don't know where we left off. Anyway, so the Ranger, after we do the buffing on that, wipe off the excess. Like I said, this one's ready to go. You can use it immediately. You don't have to wait for anything to dry. And so that's, that makes it good if you are doing other things with it. So I glued on top of this. It's held fine. I used Fabri-Tac on these pieces to adhere those. Like I said, I sewed before I added the wax coating, but I would think you could probably sew on that afterward. I don't think that, if you wax this and decided that you wanted to run a couple stitches after, I think that you could do that. I don't think it would, I'm not an expert on sewing by any means. I don't think it would harm your machine or the needle or anything, because it doesn't really leave anything behind. It's all part of the paper now. So those are the different products that I use for my wax covers. I know that people use beeswax. To be honest, I don't know exactly how they do it. I've been told that you melt it and apply it. I don't know the process for that. If anybody knows that or can offer any other suggestions, I would love to hear about them in the comments, because I always like to try new things. But to me, these were two of the most economical and easiest process, I thought, to get that look. And I don't know. I haven't checked into beeswax to find out how available it is, what the process is for it, how much, what costs would be involved with it. Also, in my craft area, I don't really have a good place to melt wax, if that's what it takes. So I would have to go upstairs to the kitchen and then, bring all my stuff back down here. So this was a good option. Both of these are good options for me right now. But if you have any information, I would love to hear about it. So please leave a comment. And if you have any questions about this, let me know. And I will see you all next time. Bye.